Salt Papy makes his return on Misfits 14 on the 11th of May. He headlines against Amadeusz Ferrari, a pretty experienced fighter with 11 MMA fights, 2 boxing fights and 3 kickboxing fights. So it's going to be a huge test for Salt Papy. Salt Papy is one of my favourite fighters from Misfits boxing, because when I first started watching it, for me, he just stood out. He seemed like a real fighter. I didn't feel like I was just watching Misfits boxing. He seemed like any other professional fighter coming through. Because quite often when you watch professional fighters at the start of their career, they're quite often fighting journeymen. And you don't always expect high-level fights. So to me, he was just like any other fighter. He just seems like a natural. He's got loads of natural ability. And I like his style. He's like an old school fighter with a low lead hand. And he's a come forward pressure fighter. He's great off the counter. And he's also got power. And he's a southpaw, which is another great advantage to have. I just like his all-round fighting style. And outside the ring, he seems like a really nice guy, really laid back. But when he gets between those ropes, he's a completely different animal. I like fighters like that who don't do all the trash talking, but when it's time to switch it on, they can. When he gets between them ropes, he's all business, and you can see that he really wants to hurt his opponent, and I like that. He's got that killer instinct when he needs it. The question is, can he get back to winning ways? Because this fight is redemption, because he's now lost twice, one to Anthony Taylor and also to Slim. And he lost to Slim by knockout. So, it's hard to come back from a knockout. Because he's going to have a lot of questions in his mind about himself and a lot of demons that he's going to have to overcome. Because boxing is mainly a mental game. As a fighter, you're always questioning things. Am I ready? Has my preparation been good enough? Am I fit enough? Did I have enough sparring? Have I made the weight right? There's all these things that you question, especially when you've lost, because you doubt yourself even more. Because you want to put your mistakes right. And in Salt Papy's case, when you've been stopped, he'll be questioning, can he still take a shot? When Salt Papy lost to Anthony Taylor, that was understandable because he was in there with a man with a lot more fight experience. Yes, from MMA, but still fight experience. And he's got a really awkward style because he rushes in, smothers you, holds you, roughs you up. It's a really hard style to deal with, especially when you're inexperienced. Anthony Taylor also fought Tommy Fury, and Tommy Fury struggled. And Tommy Fury is meant to be an experienced fighter, having amateur experience and professional experience. And he comes from a strong bloodline of fighters, from John Fury to Tyson Fury, the heavyweight champion of the world. So it puts it in perspective. So really, Salt Papy done okay. And he didn't get stopped, he only got beat on points. Before I recorded this video, I watched Salt Papy versus Slim because I wanted to refresh the fight in my mind. And it was a great fight to watch. It was exciting, it had everything. 2 evenly matched fighters, both with power. It was a fast-paced fight. Both guys got hurt at different times, and obviously we know how the result went. But, it was a great fight to watch. I think the biggest mistake Salt Papy made was he was overly confident. Because he'd went through that weight loss transformation and he was looking in great shape and he obviously felt on top of the world, but I think it was the biggest mistake he made because he went in there like a bulldozer. At times, I don't think he was really respecting Slim's power. He was just trying to walk him down. He was smiling, he was looking at the crowd. He was enjoying himself, which is great, but he forgot about defense at times. And eventually he walked onto a big shot and it was the beginning of the end. When fighters have power, sometimes they rely on it and they think that they can just walk through people. But he found out the hard way because sometimes other people also have power and sometimes have a better chin. Unfortunately, in the fight game, it can be very unforgiving. Because unlike football or in basketball, you can concede a goal and still win. But in boxing, one punch can change everything and it's game over. Because against Slim, he was winning the fight. He was throwing and landing more shots. And he definitely hurt Slim a few times. In fairness to Slim, he weathered the storm and he took everything Salt Papy threw at him. And he found that one shot that changed the fight. So you've got to give Slim the credit. When we say what went wrong for Salt Papy, his own coach made a great point. He said the 2 knockout wins he got early in his career was the worst thing that could have happened to him, because he thought all he needed to do was go in there and knock people out. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. I've seen this time and time again with big punchers. They think that's all they need and they neglect everything else, like defense, movement, working on the craft. They think all I need is that one big punch and it's game over. But sometimes, unfortunately, it happens the other way around and you meet another big puncher or someone with a better chin than you've got and they win the race. I read this book recently about winning and I can't remember exactly how it went, but it gave this example where it said, when winning finally gives you a seat at the table, it gives you a chair with a broken leg so you don't get too comfortable. And it's so true. And in Papy's case, he got too comfortable and he fell off the chair. When it comes to being overly confident, look no further than Amadeusz Ferrari, because this guy is next level. He's a huge star in Poland. And he's also a professional poker player. I watched an interview with him talking about fighting Papy, and this guy is supremely confident. I mean, he talks about the fight being easy and that he doesn't really need to train for the fight. You know, a few weeks and that'll do. I mean, this guy's crazy. Maybe, you know, it's all just kidology and he doesn't really believe it, but he certainly sounds confident. He says he's been fighting on the streets since he was a kid and that he's had over 100 fights. And he also says to Papy that he doesn't know what it's like to actually fight for your life. Amadeusz Ferrari has really put himself up there, so if he loses, it's going to be one hell of a fall. He does make a funny but valid point. He says he likes Papy better when he was fat. He said he had more power and that he could take a better shot. And I do know what he means, because sometimes when fighters lose a lot of weight, they think they're going to be fitter, they're going to be faster, but sometimes they do lose the power and the resistance isn't what it was. You know, not in all cases, but it does happen. And there is an argument that Papy may have lost a little bit of power and a bit of his punch resistance, because your body becomes accustomed to being that weight and sometimes it just performs better that way. Look at the likes of Andy Ruiz. You know, he's powerful, he's fast, a great fighter. You know, he's just built that way. Some people aren't meant to be slim. Papy's reaction to Amadeusz Ferrari was good. He didn't really react. He was quite chilled. You know, he seemed confident. It was like he was in his own lane and he knows where he's going. He's also been training with the Olympic team. You know, the best of the best. The Olympic team is the cream of the crop, so that breeds confidence. There's no doubt that Papy would have learned a lot training with the Olympic team. So we should see a new and improved version. Papy also mentions he's fighting at a more comfortable weight, because when he fought Slim, maybe he was just too light, or he lost the weight too quickly. I'm not saying that's the reason why he definitely lost, but it may have played its part. And if that was the case, he would have learned from that experience, because that's what it's all about, learning from your mistakes. I would love to see the rematch against Slim, because it was a great fight the first time round, and I think the second time it would be even bigger. And I do think that Papy can win the rematch as long as he uses his head, you know, and learns from his mistakes. I would also like to see Papy versus King Kenny. And King Kenny is fighting Adam Brook on the same bill. King Kenny first needs to win his fight, because Adam Brook is tough and he can bang, so it's not going to be an easy fight. I do expect King Kenny to win. Despite Adam being strong and tough, you know, age just isn't on his side. And I also think King Kenny is just too young, too fresh, and just too well schooled. King Kenny is another fighter that caught my eye from Misfits Boxing. He's got great movement, a great jab, just loads of natural talent. Which makes sense because Kenny's brother is a professional boxing trainer. So you can see that he's been well schooled. Papy versus King Kenny would be a great fight in the future. But both guys have got to fight in front of them first. I'm really looking forward to Papy's return and seeing how he performs. Can he get back to winning ways? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and please like and subscribe and go and watch this video next.